A lot of systems are built to react once behavior becomes a problem. But what if we could step in earlier, before things ever reach that point? That's the thinking behind the Clair Butterfly Foundation Beyond Trauma Toolkit. It's a neuroscience-based framework helping schools, justice systems, and community organizations create calmer environments where both staff and the people they serve can succeed. We're talking with the founders. We've got Lisa and Chip St. Clair about how their organization is changing outcomes. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you for
Thanks for having us.
So let's talk more about the Clair Butterfly Foundation. What do you do?
So we partner with schools and justice systems, behavioral health, and really try to help them work more effectively by giving them tools and techniques to be able to self-regulate.
Yeah, what we found really is as you mentioned in the opening, a lot of these systems are designed to sort of intervene when the behavior already happens.
Sure.
The thing is, a lot of this behavior we're seeing that in schools or that law enforcement run into is operating out of a fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode. And so what looks like a young person who's disengaged or behavioral problems actually could be that they're overwhelmed with stress. There might be some unresolved trauma in their lives. And so just being able to identify those particular systems, these professionals can actually co-regulate the environment, de-escalate things better, and have an overall system working a lot better.
Okay, so how do you intervene? How does this organization get involved to be able to impact these individuals?
Yeah, so when professionals reach out to us, just seeing that, there's a disconnect, and we help to teach them about their body language, about how they're breathing, about how they affect the environment. So we see behavior as kind of a signal, as opposed to like a barrier. And we really just get in there and provide them professional development. We have an LMS that provides real-time, tips and techniques and micro learnings, and also just really help the professionals to be able to connect with these young people.
Okay.
More effectively, yeah.
So these are specifically for schools and for law enforcement, essentially?
We essentially have four ecosystems, justice, and so when we say justice, we also mean law enforcement, prosecuting attorney's office, juvenile justice, right, probation officers and those who work in the juvenile justice system, also behavioral health and healthcare. We actually service over 14,000 inpatient, outpatient, and youth residential facility in a behavioral health facility down in southeast Michigan.
Okay.
And in this region, what we've been doing is really expanding our footprint. We just got done training Benzie County Sheriff's Department up in northern Michigan, and really showing them, for instance, when they go from call to call, that stress level just keeps accumulating if they don't actually turn off their amygdala, turn off that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn that's supposed to protect them and save them, and it's useful in their jobs for sure.
Sure.
The problem is if they don't de-escalate that every once in a while, they're going to experience severe burnout and stress, and then come to calls even more agitated, and they could in fact affect that environment, unfortunately.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. And talk to the why you started this. Talk about a little bit of the background and why you think this is important.
Yeah, so this was really born out of our memoir. The Butterfly Garden came out in 2008. Chronicles my childhood growing up facing a lot of trauma. Met Lisa in high school 34 years ago, and we uncovered together 6 years later that my father was actually one of America's most wanted fugitives. So I grew up with a very brutal person who committed crimes against children, went to prison. When we found this out, I turned him in. Wow. And so ever since, we've been advocating on behalf of young people and helping systems regulate so that we can have, leave this world much better than we found it.
Absolutely, I love that. So basically the call is out to people if there are organizations, if there are schools, if there are juvenile justice, officers, things like that. That's who you want to talk to.
Yes, and it's so important to understand we're not another add-on program. We are literally there to help recalibrate the system and get professionals to a space where they're able to communicate more effectively with those who they serve.
Okay. How long does the training take?
It can take just a couple half days.
Okay.
And it's very intensive, so we give them, it's very interactive, real-time techniques, and like we said, focusing on vicarious trauma first. But then we have an 8-week more intensive system that we help them really develop the skill sets and hone it. And we actually have a 100 level, 200 level, 300 level, and 400 level. So a lot of our partnerships, for example, with schools and law enforcement, can be up to 3 years to really impact that system.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for all of the great work you're doing. If you want to learn more about the St. Clair Butterfly Foundation and all the services they provide, scbf.org. And there's a phone number there on your screen as well.